Coming up on today's show, Square Enix had a digital showcase, Xbox and PlayStation are both making moves, and we have a Dying Light 2 update. What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. I'm one of your hosts, Brittany Braunbacher, alongside the dazzling Christine Steimer.
Oh, hello.
Hello, my little pumpkin lover.
Hello.
That's okay. Let me explain that a little bit. So we were having some major camera issues, so we decided that, you know what, this is a Steinbacher episode. Things are expected to go off the rails. So I pulled this lovely image of Steimer with a pumpkin on her head, which is admittedly one of my favorite photos of Steimer ever. And that's what we are using on youtube.com/whatsgoodgames.
Indeed. So enjoy the photo of me with a pumpkin on my head.
I love it.
Yep.
It reminds me of yesteryear or the year before that, before when we used to be able to go into stores and not wear masks.
I think that was in 2018, so yeah.
Oh, was it?
It was a while ago.
Oh, boy. If you haven't already heard, Andrea was unfortunately recently and unexpectedly hospitalized. And while she is still improving, she is still feeling under the weather. So we are giving her all the time she needs to recover and rest. And we are doing that in the form of Steinbacher episodes. And obviously some TLC that you're not seeing on camera and whatnot in forms of conversations and text messages. But we want to thank you all for all of the warm and fuzzy thoughts, messages, etc. that you've been sending our way. We'll be sure to pass them along to her. She sees them, she appreciates them, and we just are all thinking about our redheaded wonder and hope she makes a speedy and fast recovery. So with that said, let's move on to March's Patreon producers. Thank you to Chewy's godson, Alex Rogopoulos, Ferris Atay, Mohammed, Justin Foshi, Marcus Ian Brown, the nanobiologist, and Punctified. I totally went out of order on that, but I think I nailed it.
You made that so much harder for yourself.
I know.
I'm impressed that you made it through.
Thank you. I was like, okay, I'm just going to pick this up. And I did. I picked it up. Thanks, Steimer. And welcome to our Patreon community. It's Charlotte and Blake Tulo. And don't forget, not only can you be a part of the show by submitting questions at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames, but you can get the show ad-free in our Epic membership tier. Because, Steimer, we got another review a couple weeks ago saying that the ads ruin all of the episodes. And actually, this was on last week's episode when we only had one ad.
Well, you know what? I don't know what to tell you. We like money, and so we're not going to stop doing ads.
We got to keep the lights on somehow, friends. But again, you can just go to that Epic membership tier on patreon.com/whatsgoodgames and get rid of all of the ads. You know, it's not a hard solution. And thank you, new podcast reviewers, Sean Wall 23 and Matthias M. Ortati. Ortati? Ortati. Very fancy. I don't know if that's how you say your name, but that's how I just said it. So we have a ton of news this week, but before we get into it, I want to say this week's episode is brought to you by ExpressVPN, Audible, and Logitech, but we will tell you more about them later because, Steimer, holy crap.
Yeah, we got a lot of news to talk about.
I thought last week was pretty chill. This week was like, LOL, we're going to make up for all of that and give you lots to talk about. So here we are.
Yeah, it was like all the PR teams like kind of fucked up. And they were like, I know, we'll pick this week because nobody else will do anything. And then they all had the same thought. And then everybody did all of their news.
They did all of their news. So we're going to kick this first segment off with the Square Enix Presents recap. So Square Enix had their very first digital showcase today. We're recording this on a Thursday. And they, I think, did a good job at setting proper expectations before they went into the showcase. We knew not to really expect any major Final Fantasy news, etc. But what we did get was Life is Strange True Colors. Ooh. So thanks, IGN, for this recap and this write-up. I'm going to read about Life is Strange, and then we will talk all about it. So Life is Strange True Colors has been announced for PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PC, and Stadia, with a September 10th release, and it will be the first game in the series not to be released episodically.
Ooh.
True Colors, I know, right? I'm so excited about that. True Colors is a full new installment in the series developed by Life is Strange before the Storm studio Deck 9 and tells a brand new story with almost entirely new characters in a new location. It follows Alex Chen, who, after a troubled childhood in foster care, reunites with her brother Gabe. Alex is played by Erica Mori, with a singing voice provided by singer-songwriter Mixmtoon. I don't know. Sorry, MXMtoon, who performs Radiohead's Creep in the game. After a mysterious accident sees Gabe killed, because of course, damn it.
No, nothing is happy at these games.
I know. Alex investigates what happened using her power of psychic empathy to physically see how others are feeling around her at the cost of potentially becoming infected by their emotions. That's actually how empaths work, fun fact. Along the way, Alex will meet many citizens of the picturesque mountain town of Haven Springs, including two potential love interests, Ryan and Steph, the latter of which previously appeared in Life is Strange Before the Storm. I knew she looked familiar when I was watching this. I was like, oh yeah, she was the one who played D&D with Mikey. And that so much like a highlight of that game. All right. Anyway, while left somewhat vague by the presentation, Deck 9 says players will be able to use Alex's powers from the very beginning of the game and teases that you'll be able to move freely around Haven Springs. That could point to a less linear narrative or a more open world, but it's not totally clear at this point. Unlike every other Life is Strange game, True Colors will be released in its entirety on September 10th, although it will be split into 5 chapters, so those who prefer to take a break between sections can step away.
Hallelujah! This is amazing.
I know.
Sorry. Okay, finish
No.
off. We're almost done.
We're almost there. While retaining the look of previous games, Deck 9 says True Colors is a next-generation take on Life is Strange, employing full performance capture for the first time and becoming the most visually advanced entry in the series. And Life is Strange series creator Donut is currently working on a new franchise, and it appears Deck 9 has been picked by the publisher Square Enix to continue the series instead. Wow. Okay. Woo. So what do you think, Summer? Lay it on me, baby.
I mean, I didn't know. I only watched the trailer, and I did not know about the splitting into chapters so you can still take a break between sections, because that was the one thing I'm like, I always really appreciated that they were sort of bite-sized or something you could easily do during a work week and not feel like really stressed that you were going to be up until, you know, midnight or later playing a game. I'm a grandma. I go to bed early. So that's awesome that they're just like, here it all is, but you can still digest this at your pace, and we've still split it up this way. I'm like, yes. Love everything about that. Also find the empath powers to be fairly interesting, because I think, you know, when we were talking about the speculation last week of like, ooh, reading minds or whatever, I'm like, this is actually a more interesting way of playing with that. So instead of just getting someone's thoughts, you're getting the exact feeling of them, which I think does similar stuff, right? Like, so if you're whatever, like accusing somebody of something and then like they get hyper mad or hyper defensive, whatever, I think you can feel a difference between that versus someone who's more confused or whatever, you know, something
and it leaves
understanding.
And it leaves it more open to speculation and kind of, I mean, they didn't talk about the decisions you make will impact the story, but I'm assuming obviously like that's the route it's gonna go. And so if I'm talking to Steimer and I'm like, oh, Steimer, I know you didn't kill this person, and they get like, she gets like a red aura around her, I'm like, bitch, you fucking killed that person. You know, but I don't know that for sure, because the way that manifests in the games is you see like red coming off of someone or purple or blue. And I mean, I'm assuming red is like angry, frustrated. Blue is probably like chill, calm, and green is green with envy. Who could say? I don't know.
You know, get out your old mood rings from 1990, and I'm sure that they will help you play this game. You'll have your little color codex right there.
Oh my god, I love mood rings. Except for mine always turned into like a green-brown barf color.
Yeah, mine were never that pretty because I have such bad circulation that my fingers are always cold. So it would just be,
you're dead.
Yeah, they'd be like, are you alive? Hello. But I have to say, the first thing I thought when I saw the trailer in this town, I was like, holy shit, this town is beautiful.
Right?
How do I go there? I want to go there. And then her brother died, and I was like, maybe I don't want to go there. But like,
I know.
But it's so pretty.
It was so pretty. And last week also when we were speculating, we talked about the potential of a happy Life is Strange game, a warm and fuzzy Life is Strange game. Well, it's very evident that we're not getting that. And I was like, ooh, Gabe's kind of like husbando material. And then and then Alex said, and then my brother died. I was like, oh, crap.
And you were like, well.
But you know what's interesting, too, is that this reminds me a lot of Don't Nod's game Twin Mirror that just came out not that long ago. Because Don't Nod's game was kind of the same premise where you are someone who comes back to this town that you grew up in and you're trying to solve this mystery, this murder mystery, because everyone thinks this person died because of a random accident. And you're like, oh, no, I don't think that's the case. So I'm going to kind of use my powers to figure out, you know, what actually happened to this person. And it sounds like this is more, I mean, obviously a little different circumstances, but kind of the same thing. So I just thought that was interesting because the rumor had been for a while that Don't Nod had severed tied with Square Enix. Maybe it has something to do with the Tencent investment. Maybe not. Who knows? But either way, it looks like Deck Nine's kind of doing something similar. But anyway, going back, like, I'm with you. That town looked gorgeous. It looked like some of those fun towns you would find maybe in Eastern Washington. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah,
like a big old beautiful mountain, and then you have a little cute podunk town below.
Seriously, I'm so happy the episodic formula is going away. I know we talked about this already, but I think the series really kind of suffered from it with Life is Strange too, because I feel like the spaces between the episodes were so long and drawn out. And maybe they weren't more than normal. I don't remember, but I just feel like they were. And so it was like, okay, what was happening again? What were we doing? Who is this person? Why should I care? And that's why I just binged the last few episodes back to back to back, because it was just more emotionally impactful that way.
Yeah, I think it is really hard, especially when with these types of games, they really do try to tell really emotional stories, and it's difficult to retain someone's memory on everything that's happened, retain the feeling that they felt from the last episode when they are months and months apart. So I think this is a really great move. I'm very excited for it because it just means I think more people will be interested in this style of game where, yes, it's technically like episodic style, but it's not episodic. Like, you just get it all at once. And I'm like, yes, please. That sounds perfecto.
Sounds great.
Yeah, we have a question from Patreon friend Gabe Hewitt, who asks, what improvements for Life is Strange 2 do you hope to see in true colors?
Well, I think the episodic thing was like a huge one. The other thing, too, is it looks like you have a lot more freedom in this game to move around and explore. We saw Alex in the trailer walking around during the daytime. We saw her walking around at nighttime. And it sounds like, based off of the trailer that we watched, that you'll be able to use her empathetic powers to help others around you. And so there might be some essential quests that you might be able to do. And I think that could be kind of fun to just get to know some of these town people. And I would be curious to know what the length of this game would be. Do you think it's going to be like more or less the same length? Because I'm wondering how much side stuff they could put into it.
I have no idea what the length. The fact that it's still 5 chapters, I'm assuming the chapters will still be around an hour to 2 hours each. I mean, obviously, some might be shorter, some might be longer. That's what she said. But it... So I don't want to like put a timestamp on it, but I do think that's an interesting and honestly very welcome change, because one of my biggest gripes and why I honestly started to fizzle out on the series is because I felt like, yeah, I could walk around and like look at stuff, but I'm really just listening to this person say a few lines about something that may or may not be useful whatsoever.
Exactly.
In fact, most of the time they're really not useful. And so it just kind of felt a little pointless over time. Like, at first you're like, ooh, fun world building. And then at some point you're like, I don't really care. I'm just going to walk from point A to point B to trigger the next thing to come up here. And then just get this not over with, but like, let me get to a part where something interesting is happening instead of me just wandering around. But I think that's, if this is slightly more open, super welcome, and also super cool if you can do even minor things with other people that don't feel like you're on like a railroad track, right? Like, you're not like, I just must go down this path, and you can kind of like find your own way there. That sounds super cool.
You can go your own way
and show your true colors. That's why I love. That's also a song. True Colors is a song.
Yeah. We were on our way. I was about to join you. I know. I'm totally with you too. I think some of those, again, like it was one of those things where you kind of get fatigued over, right? Where you go in a convenience store and you're like, okay, there's 500 things in here I can look at. Half the time it's just going to be interesting, you know, maybe a peek inside that character's head as to how they interact with this magazine. Like, they're going to be like, oh, this is a magazine about titties. This is really cool. Or they're going to be like, a magazine about titties. I hate titties. And that tells you a lot about the character, you know what I mean? But it was pointless. It really had, like...
He's clearly an ass man, not into the titties.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I think being able to explore, and this game just looks gorgeous. That was one of my first thoughts, too, is it has, like, a really, really pretty look to it. And I'm actually really excited about Steph coming back, too. I think that's fun. She was a great character in Before the Storm. I loved her interactions with Mikey. Thought she was fun. I know she had a thing for Rachel, which is just tragic in itself, but we won't go into that. And it's interesting that she's a love interest, or Ryan is as well. So
yeah. I'm like, hell yeah, give me all the people to be a love interest.
Give me all of the romance. But yeah, I think this looks great. I think it's great that we're seeing Alex Chen be the main character in this game. And unfortunately, her hot brother appears to die tragically. And then we have to figure out why that happened.
Correct. I think to go back to Gabe's question, the one thing that I am also excited that they touch on in this story is having this be a next generation version performance-wise, because one of the things that also kind of, you know, eventually was grating on me about Life is Strange in general is the engine just felt kind of old. Mm-hmm. It also just felt like even then it would still chug sometimes, and like it wasn't necessarily like the best performing game in the world, despite the fact that it's not doing anything crazy technically wise. So I'm excited to see how this like plays and performs.
Agreed. Is that what she said? Maybe not. I think that was a stretch. On that note, Life is Strange Remastered Collection was announced. So this arrives in fall 2021, and it's a bundle of Life is Strange 1 and Life is Strange Before the Storm with enhanced visuals and animations. And it's arriving fall 2021 for PC, Stadia, Xbox One, and PS4. The collection will be available as a standalone package, but will also be a part of the Ultimate Edition of Life is Strange True Colors. The remastered games will include updated character and environment visuals, improved animation with facial mocap performances, and engine and lighting upgrades. So there you go, Steimer.
Nice.
You were just talking about that.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think that's great. If you haven't played Life is Strange before, I would recommend it. I mean, I think we've all been fans of the series since it first launched in, oh god, I don't even know what year that was. Like 2015.
A long time ago.
A very long time ago, back in the older years. But yeah, I think it's a great game. I think they're very well done. Obviously, very emotional, angsty games. So just make sure you're in maybe a place for that. It was interesting because when they were talking about Alex's powers in True Colors, because the first Life is Strange resonated with me because I saw a lot of myself in Max when I was in high school. And so, like, it was cool for me to be able to put myself in her shoes and pretend I'm, like, this older, wiser adult. And I can be like, don't give a fuck what people think. Like, speak your truth. Like, you do you. You know, stuff I wish I had done in high school personally. And then when they're talking about Alex and how she has these empathetic powers, that was one of, like, my big revelations about myself in 2020 that I learned that I'm very empathetic, like, almost to a fault. And I think in this trailer or during some of the information that was given out about this game, she calls it a curse. And that's how I also felt at first, because you can't help as an empath, like, feel other people's emotions, and you can't help but absorb them. And almost like it can influence your entire day and how you see things. And so I'm really curious to see how I resonate with her in this game as well, because it's like, oh boy, here we go. Like, let's live my reality. Obviously, like, I don't see auras and I don't, like, get mad.
Are you sure? Have you tried?
I mean, I'm looking at you right now and your beautiful pumpkin, and I'm not seeing an aura. So I don't know.
You're missing the pumpkin aura that's clearly there. It's orange.
I see orange resonate. What does orange mean? But anyway, obviously,
orange
like,
means happy.
Does it?
I don't know.
Oh, I feel like
Why
yellow
not?
would mean
yellow means happy.
Yellow means happy. Orange can whatever. I don't know. Anyway, very excited. And there's still plenty of Square Enix news that we need to talk about. But first, we want you to know that this episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by ExpressVPN. So you guys already know all about ExpressVPN. How could you not? We talk about them all the time on What's Good. We can't stress enough the importance of protecting your online activity. But there's actually another reason many of our listeners love using ExpressVPN, and that is Netflix. You see, thousands of shows on Netflix are only available outside of the US, so you need to change your country if you want to access them. What the ExpressVPN app does is it encrypts your data and reroutes it through a server location of your choice. This not only protects your data, but also lets you control which country you want Netflix to think you're in. ExpressVPN lets you choose from over 90 different countries, so every time you run out of stuff to watch, you can just fire up the app on your laptop or smart TV, switch your country, and hit connect. Once you refresh the page, you'll get a brand new selection of shows. It's that simple. And here's the best part. It's not just for Netflix. You can use ExpressVPN to unlock shows or sports on other streaming services too. Now, Andrea in the past has mentioned how she was watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, even though it's not on US Netflix. But just with one tap of a button, ExpressVPN lets you change your location to watch shows that, again, aren't on US Netflix. And look, there's a reason why ExpressVPN is the #1 rated VPN provider by publishers like Wired, CNET, and us. So be smart, friends. Protect your data and stop paying full price for streaming services while only getting access to a fraction of their content. Visit expressvpn.com/whatsgoodgames right now and get 3 extra months of their service for free. That's expressvpn.com/whatsgoodgames. expressvpn.com/whatsgoodgames to learn more. All right, Sam, there's so much more to talk about. Project Athia is officially called Forspoken. Did you see this trailer?
I did.
Oh, I loved it. All right, so in a brief new trailer introduced by lead actress Ella Balinska, we get a brief look at the main character, Frey Holland, and her predicament in suddenly being thrown into a fantastical world complete with dragons. Is that a motherfucking dragon? That was the best line in that trailer.
Yes.
We see a bit more of her running from cliff top to cliff top, as well as using magic, but that's about it for now. Forspoken is currently planned for release in 2022 and was first revealed last year as Square Enix's endeavor to build something specifically for the PS5, and it will stay exclusive for at least 2 years. And Theo...
go ahead.
Theo Marinakis.
It's
Marinakis. Oh, thank you. Sorry, Theo. Yeah, okay, Simon. This is why I keep you around. You're just good at this kind of shit. Wants to know, what are your thoughts on Scarlet Nexus or Project Athia? So we're going to talk about Forspoken because I don't think any of us are super into Scarlet Nexus right now. So what do you think, Simon?
I mean, it's hard to really have too much to think about because like it was very brief what we saw. But even from the first look at this game, I think it looks rad. Like, I just think it looks really, really pretty. I always dig fantasy, high fantasy especially. So now I know the game has dragons in it, so therefore, Dadoy, gonna play it. But I think her movement, specifically in these videos, if you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend you go watch this trailer. Just because the way she moves is very mercurial, and like it's really interesting and fun to see. And it's stuff like this that gets me excited about PlayStation 5 and Xbox X/S, because it's just like, this is stuff that, yes, technically I think we always have that mindset sometimes of like, things are good enough visually, right? Like everything's fine, right? But when you see things like this, you're like, this is kind of like what you can get on something that is more powerful. So I'm stoked for this. I think Forspoken is a little of a semi-lackluster name for me, but it's totally fine. I don't really, I don't buy games for the title, but
no, you're right. Forspoken. I feel like I'm going to call it some other name a million times before, and I'm going to forget it's actually called Forspoken. Like Forsaken. Yeah. I feel like I'm going to call it Forsaken.
Is very close, yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you, though. I think the movement was so fluid and so unexpected. I guess I just wasn't sure what kind of game this was. So when she's like zipping through the air and doing somersaults and ground pounding and cool things are happening, it was like, ooh. She's like speedy. She's super speedy, and it looks beautiful. And
she's got that magics and like all the magic. So it was something that looked kind of like a time glyph was one of them. One looked like it was rocks or earth of some kind, and then another one was roots, and so like earth, more earthy stuff. So like I'm not sure entirely if she's kind of just taking powers from nature or things of nature or what, but it's pretty cool looking for sure.
It's interesting too. It's an interesting concept that she kind of gets whiffed off. Is that a word?
Whisked.
I
was like, whiff is like you get a whiff of, like a smell.
Whiffed. I just went to the Google machine. Yeah, obviously to get a smell, or to try to unsuccessfully hit a ball in golf. Or baseball.
Yes,
you
whiffed it. You whiffed it. Yep.
Anyway,
nothing but air.
She gets whisked to this fantasy world, and I think that's a really fun premise of, like, again, her first line is that a motherfucking dragon? And I feel like that's such a logical response that I was like, yes, thank you for being real about that. And it's exciting too that this is from Luminous Productions, because if you remember, this is primarily, if not the team that made Final Fantasy 15. And it was headed by Tabata-san, but he obviously moved on to something else. So it's going to be fun to see what kind of flair this game has, and I'm excited to see more. All right, Summer, next. Black Panther arrives in Marvel's Avengers later this year. So
I can read this.
Okay.
Because you've read, I just feel bad for you. You've read so many.
Thank you. My throat hurts.
Take a drink of water, take a load off while I tell everybody about Marvel's Avengers 2021 content roadmap that was revealed today. So this tells you like what you can expect from the game following today's Operation Hawkeye Future Imperfect update. That's a mouthful. Holy shit. This includes new mission types, events, MCU inspired outfits, plus the introduction of Black Panther and Wakanda, which is hype. So look, I might butcher the name of this one in particular because
better you than me, girl.
It, but Tachyon Anomaly event is spring 2021. So the Tachyon Anomaly event will temporarily remove the restrictions preventing more than one of the same hero to be on each team. Hell yeah! This will also apply up to all mission types except the newly replayable campaign and allows for any combination of heroes to team up. So if you want a team of all Hulks, you rock a team of 4 Hulks. It's going to be great.
Yes.
Then there's the Red Room takeover, which is Black Widow's age-old adversary. Yelena Belova has placed surveillance chips inside of aimbots, and it's your job to retrieve them, find the source of this hack, and settle an old score.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, some of the stuff coming in summer is the Cosmic Cube, which is a new villain sector. Newly titled AIM Scientist Supreme Monica Rappaccini. Sorry, I apologize for however I pronounce that. Is at the core of this mission, which takes place after the events of Hawkeye Future Imperfect storyline. Then there's the Wasteland Patrol, again, also in summer. Patrol is a brand new game mode that will first be introduced to the Wasteland area, released in Hawkeye Update. It's designed as, quote, one large overland map where players can move from one area to the next, and enemies and activities will continuously spawn across the map without a single objective like other mission types, which allows for more freedom of player to engage with what they like to do in this area. Then there is Omega level threat missions, currently in development but no set release date. Omega level threat missions are specifically designed for multiplayer and require a well-coordinated team to succeed. So think of like high-level dungeons and other games. War for Wakanda expansion. Hell yeah, that's coming later. So at some point, probably fall would be my guess. Fall or winter 2021. Black Panther is joining the Marvel's Avengers roster of heroes later this year. His introduction in the War for Wakanda expansions will include a Wakandan jungle biome to explore, new villains including Claw, plus a new outpost, new hero outfits, and an increase to the power level cap.
Cool. I think this is exciting. There's also an update with an interview on IGN, I believe it was, about Spider-Man, because don't forget, Spider-Man is a PlayStation exclusive character, and all they said is, there's people working on him. So he's still happening.
Like, not ready yet, not quite done yet.
Not quite. There's a lot of back and forth that needs to go between Sony and you know, the people, the higher ups there. Anyway, I think this is really cool. I really enjoyed Marvel's Avengers when I did play it, and I've been kind of craving like a game as a service lately. That's why I hopped back into Destiny 2 like over the past week. And a lot of this seems like it's promising content, especially the new game mode Patrol, the Omega level threat missions, and obviously the War for Wakanda. I don't know, though, if I'm going to hop into this before any of this content is out. I think what I might do is like wait for all this content to come out and then hop back in and see like what changes and what I like and what I don't like. But I think this is good. This is what they needed to show people, is this is what we're working on. This is what you have to look forward to. And this is the content I think people have, maybe not the content people have been waiting for, but it is content, and I think that's good.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you that I don't think I'll be hopping into this until probably War for Wakanda. Just because I want more. I don't want just like one bit at a time. I want to like play it when there's really a lot more there.
I want it all.
I do. I want it all. But I had a lot of fun with Marvel's Avengers. Even the Endgame, which was a little stale, I will say. Like, it got really repetitive pretty quickly. But that being said, I had a great time with that campaign. I still had a lot of fun on some of the Endgame content with friends. So I'm excited to see what they do with Black Panther. I'm excited to see Wakanda. And yeah.
Yeah,
Hawkeye I know people are like, yeah, exactly. Hawkeye also looks really fun. But I know people are like shitting on this game, but you know, you don't have to do that because it's 2021 and things are hard enough.
Yeah, thank you, Steimer. Just stop speaking logical. People don't like to, they don't like to think of things that way. It's just easier to shit on something than face the demons inside of you.
Very, very true. Speaking of demons, it's not really speaking of demons. The segue is not.
Wait, what? Yeah, how did you come up with demons?
I don't know. I was just thinking like Outriders have powers and demons have powers theoretically.
Okay.
So,
you know what? I'll fuck with it, Steimer. I got you.
Because Square Enix also talked about Outriders, even though that game is almost out. And they got a new gameplay trailer showing off its 4 customizable classes, none of which are called Demon. In the trailer, we see almost 6 minutes of gameplay explaining the game's setting on the world of Enoch. The trailer highlights Outriders' 4 customizable, respecable classes: the time-manipulating Trickster, the distance-focused Technomancer, the tanky Devastator, and the medium-ranged, crowd-focused Pyromancer. We also see snippets of the different biomes players can explore in Outriders and get a bit of color on the game's side quests, missions, and post-game content. There was also a new cinematic trailer to go with the gameplay trailer today, highlighting the dangers of the world of Outriders and showing off some really wild monsters.
So yeah, this is what we expected. We talked about this last week. What would you expect to be shown just a few weeks before launch? And yeah, it was kind of a hype trailer. Let's talk a little bit more about the story. Let's show you some gameplay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's going to do much to persuade people to play, but what will is, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, is that the game is coming day and date on Xbox Game Pass.
Nice. I was going to say that the demo would also be a reason because it's free. So you could just go download and play this demo and see whether or not you like this game.
Yeah, because I asked people about that. I said, hey, on the Twitter sphere, I was like, yo, did you play the demo? Or are you going to pick it up? And I would say like half was like, yeah, I'm going to pick it up. And half of it was like, thanks to Game Pass, I'm going to pick it up. But I don't know if I would beforehand. It's that interesting conversation of, does a demo help or hurt? I don't know. But in this case, obviously, it seems like it did both. It sounds like some people like, I liked it, but not enough to pay full price. But if it's coming to Game Pass, then like, cool.
I think that's totally fair, right? Like, I admire that they want users to have an informed decision going into this game. So you can't just buy this game and be like, what? This is completely different than I thought. I had no idea. And you're like, well, you could have just downloaded an absolutely free demo and been sure one way or the other.
Exactly. But again, Samer, logic,
I know.
Not that our listeners aren't logical people, because they are. We're just talking about the other people, the other humans out there that like to get angry and fight over stupid shit. Anyway.
Correct.
I digress. Next up, Tomb Raider Definitive Survivor Trilogy officially announced. So the Tomb Raider Definitive Survivor Trilogy has officially been announced and bundles together Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Furthermore, the Croft Manor will arrive in Fortnite Creative Mode next week, and there will also be a Tomb Raider cookbook that will help celebrate Tomb Raider's 25th anniversary.
Wait, what?
Yes, and it's actually so exciting. Let me finish reading this last bullet.
Yeah.
So you can get all 3 Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider games for a special sale price of $19.99 before the sale ends on April 2nd, and the trilogy goes up to $49.99, and this is now available. So, I mean, that's a pretty beefy savings. So, like, definitely get all up in that.
Talk to me about this cookbook.
Anyway, this cookbook.
I feel like Lara Croft cooks shit over a fire in the wilderness.
T-Rex ribs and shit. I don't know.
Yeah. Precisely.
I haven't even mentioned the girl yet. So my friend Tara, she is, okay, so back in the day, my first, like, attempt into video game isms in, like, there was a blog and whatnot, was Zaxxy.com. And Zaxxy.com was featured me, it featured Christina Horner, and it featured Tara. And Tara made a Minecraft cookbook, and then after the Tomb Raider cookbook was announced today, Tara was like, I wrote all the recipes. I was like, Tara, you fucking badass. Yeah,
That's
so my friend,
cool.
I had no idea. So my friend Tara wrote all of the recipes for the Tomb Raider cookbook, and it's so cool. She's done some really fun stuff in the past. She started Geeky Hostess. She made like Geeky Sprinkles. Like, she's a really fun woman, and she does all sorts of fun shit. So anyway, at Geeky Hostess on Twitter, and she's pretty wonderful. But yeah, I'm curious to know what kind of recipes are in this Tomb Raider cookbook for sure.
Yeah, I'm reading right now. It's like, okay, it says there's 40 all new recipes. Features over 40 recipes inspired by the many locations Lara Croft visits across the world, which sounds like it makes a little more sense than like Lara Croft, you know, I found a berry and now I can eat it and that's about it.
Can you imagine like those recipes were like one berry?
Yeah, one berry. Try not to die. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. And then it also includes a travel guide celebrating the many beautiful countries and cities that Lara visits. So that's kind of cool. So it's not just a cookbook, it's a cookbook and travel guide. So if you know, once you have your vaccine, once things are a little safer out there, you're like, you know what, I want to go. My life goal is to travel everywhere that Lara Croft has been. You could probably use this book to go and then cook yourself a meal in this country, or just, you know, order the food there. That's also totally legit. And do that. So like, ooh, I have it even better. You make all the recipes at home first because you're still in quarantine, like all of us motherfuckers are, and then you use the travel guide later once things are safer.
That's brilliant, Steimer. I think you need to come up with a book about how to live life because you clearly know what you're doing.
Don't know about that, but sure.
That's a prime example of I just started talking and I had no idea where I was going with that. And I'm like, well, you know, I better pick up these pieces.
That's what I do every day. Just start talking. Hope it turns out okay.
Hope it turns out you don't piss anyone off. But yeah, anyway, so this is exciting. If you haven't played these Tomb Raider games, this is a really good price for it, $19.99. And again, like, huge congratulations to my girl Tara Theo Harris for doing this. I think that's a really fun fucking thing. And she can teach me how to make T-Rex ribs.
Yeah.
Or I can just eat berries. All right. And then these next few, we can just kind of skim through because I don't have much to say about them unless you do, Sammer. You just interrupt me and be like, bitch, I got shit to say. All right.
I do not.
So, Just Cause Mobile trailer revealed. So Just Cause Mobile got a new trailer, and fans will be able to support and intel. I don't know if that's supposed to. Oh, get support and intel from Rico Rodriguez. Wow, I don't know what happened there. Annika Svensson and more when it arrives later this year. Project Hitman Sniper Assassins was announced. AR Space Invaders mobile game is in development. We don't really know much about it, but it's a new augmented reality take on the new beloved game. Balan Wonderland gets a new co-op trailer before its launch. Bubble Bobble 4 Friends, The Baron is coming back to Steam. And then these next two, I admittedly don't know anything about them, but Darius Cosmic Revelation flies to PS4 and Switch in late 2021, and new content is headed to Tohu Spell Bubble. I hope that makes some of you happy out there. If it does, let me know. I'll share and I'll revel in your happiness. And finally, another Square Enix Presents was announced for summer. So this is Square Enix being like, LOL E3, LOL. Anyway, Square Enix wrapped up its first Nintendo Direct style event, Square Enix Presents, but the company has said another one is right around the corner and will premiere this summer. I imagine that's where we'll get news on, you know, the Final Fantasies in our life.
I hope so.
I hope so too. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's not very surprising. Do you take this as Square being like, we know the answer to this, but they're doing their own thing. We don't really care about E3 this year.
I mean, does anyone care about E3?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't really think so.
I feel like E3,
honestly,
the ESA is shooting themselves in the foot a lot. And this is just classic them to be like these companies don't need you anymore at this point. Especially if things are still digital. They really super don't need you.
And we've heard from some people about the price, even for indie developers to join E3, and it sounds like it ain't great. And it kind of nails the point home, or sends a point home, or what the fucking say I'm looking for. Anyway, that, yeah, like if you can like partner with someone that'll include you in their showcase, you don't have to pay this price to join. Why would you not do that? Especially if you're just an indie develop. Anyway, we don't have to go down a whole E3 thing, but look forward to a new Square Enix Presents this summer. So we still have tons of more news to get into, but my beautiful Steimhammer. Have I ever called you that before? Steimhammer?
I don't know. That feels new.
I like it. It makes me envision you like as a badass barbarian on top of a rock, and like there's fire behind you, and you're holding like a badass Thor-esque like hammer. Ooh, and you're like, I am Steimhammer.
That sounds great. I would love to be that.
Great. All right, well, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we have buttloads of PlayStation news, some Xbox news, and an update on Dying Light 2. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the What's Good Games podcast. This is segment 2, aka News Continued, because boy oh boy, there is a lot of stuff to talk about. But first, we want to let you know that this week's episode is also brought to you by Audible. So Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment all in one place. At Audible, you can find the largest selection of audiobooks, ranging from bestsellers and new releases to celebrity memoirs, languages, business, motivation, and more, like original entertainment from top celebrity creators and thousands of popular and binge-worthy podcasts. With their newest plan, Audible Plus, you have full access to their Popular Plus catalog. It's filled with thousands of titles across different formats and genres, whether it's comedy, romance, suspense, true crime, science fiction, or fitness and wellness. You can even squeeze in a workout or guided meditation without having to go to a gym. You can download or stream without limit, and you can listen offline anytime, anywhere. With everything you love to listen to, all in one app, Audible Plus is your playlist for life. New members can always try Audible Plus for 30 days on us. And I've talked about Audible before and how I like to use it to listen to all of my upbeat zombie fiction novels that I love so much, like World War Z by Max Brooks and his Zombie Survival Guide, Day by Day Armageddon by J.L. Bourne, and Morningstar Saga by Z.A. Recht. If you haven't read any of those or listened to them, I would recommend you do it. So, if you're looking for some zombie action in your life, or maybe not, maybe you want something that's a bit more relaxing, you can visit audible.com/what'sgood or text what's good to 500-500. That's audible.com/what'sgood or text what's good to 500-500. All right, Steimer, you want to kick us off with this next story about thongs?
Oh my god, the thong.
They look like hand thongs.
They do. So, PlayStation VR 2, their new controllers were revealed, and as Brittany just said, it looks like you're holding some very starched thongs in your hands. So Sony has provided a first look at the new controllers for PlayStation VR 2, which will combine finger tracking and the PS5's haptic feedback and adaptive triggers to provide a, quote, much deeper sense of presence and stronger feeling of immersion in VR experiences. Revealed on the PlayStation blog, the new controllers ditched the old-school PlayStation Move Wand design for a more ergonomic set of peripherals that fit around the user's hands. The new controllers are in orb shape and allow for a more natural fit without constraining the player's fingers. As for the new features available, the peripherals will adopt a lot of the best features from the PS5 DualSense, including adaptive triggers and haptic feedback, to bolster immersion and add tension to inputs. Finger touch detection will also be implemented in a similar manner to Valve's knuckle controllers. Knuckle controller is the stupidest name in the world, but that's okay. Essentially, the controller will be able to detect your fingers without the need to press buttons. Sony says this will allow for more natural gestures during gameplay. The controllers will also feature a tracking ring at their base and will be tracked by the PlayStation VR 2 headset instead of the PlayStation camera. Each side features an analog stick, a grip button, a trigger button, and 2 button inputs. The left controller also has a create button, whereas the right controller will feature the options button. Sony says that the prototypes of these new controllers will be in the hands of the development community soon, adding that there's still so much to share about the next generation of VR on PS5. PlayStation VR 2 was confirmed back in February of this year, only a month ago, where we learned that the new headset will connect to the PlayStation 5 via a single wire and feature a better resolution and field of view. Sony also said that it will not launched this year. So yeah, it basically went, so the PlayStation Move controllers kind of looked like vibrators, and now this just looks like we already said, that looks like women's underwear wrapped around your hands. So
yeah, the PlayStation Move controllers, that was back in the Kevin Butler era. Good God.
Yeah, era. We're having a rough week, okay? Just bear with us.
Oh, words are so hard. So Patrick Landry, patreon.com/what'sgoodgames, asks, with the PSVR 2 controllers already revealed, do you think we are going to see the helmets and the rest of the hardware soon, like in the next 6 months or so? I don't know.
I think it depends.
Know.
I think they did this because they said it will be in the hands of the development community soon. So they were either going to get scooped that this is news, or they were going to announce it before it went out. So they announced it before it went out. If the headset doesn't look particularly different, it's not going to be a news cycle. So they might not talk about it. But if it is drastically different, then yes, I could definitely see another post like this happening before that gets shipped out. Although I would find it really odd if they were shipping out controllers and not a new headset yet.
Right. I feel like they would have to ship the headset if they're shipping the controllers, unless the headset is still being finalized and it's still... I'll never forget when I first tried the Oculus way back in the day, 2015, 2016. I don't know. It was a long time ago. It was literally held together by duct tape. It was at PAX West, and Palmer was there, and I remember trying it on. Yeah, and it was just duct tape and hopes and dreams. Turns out made a lot of money off that thing, but hey. So yeah, it just depends on like where they are with all of that. But this is actually, I think it's great. Actually, if you look at the haptic feedback that's coming with the controller, I love that it feels, even though it looks like your hands are wearing hand thongs or thongs, what do you call them? Hand thongs, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a clever word for it.
You were trying to think of like a banana hammock sort of situation, but it's for your hands. But I think it's just a thong. It's just a hand thong.
It's just a hand thong. I love that, we're getting rid of the move wands, because yes, they look like dildos and they're just old. But yeah, like, I think it's cool. I'm excited for VR. Obviously, Steimer does not like VR very much. She doesn't like things on her face. Care. Yeah, she doesn't care.
I don't like things on my face, nor do I like thongs on my hands, so.
But do you like thongs on your face? That's the question.
On my face? Absolutely not. On my butt? Okay, that's fine.
That's fine. That's where they belong.
That is where they were designed.
That's where they were designed to live. Well, actually, okay, wait, hold on. Thongs were technically designed for your feet first, weren't they?
That's true. They used to, the flip-flops were called thongs. Yep.
Yeah, and it always was weird to me when people would call them thongs. So I'm like, do you not know?
Yeah, it just sounded like dirty.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's like, oh, I got some underwear on my feet. Anyway, going off the rails here.
Well, now you can have it on your hands. Why not your feet? What does it matter anymore?
Yeah, this could be G-strings all over your body. Okay. I think the fact that they're not making it so the controllers are tracked by the PlayStation camera is awesome. I think that's a great step forward. I think the one cable is a great step. The haptic feedback, the adaptive triggers, all of that. Very cool. I obviously hopped into VR very, very early on, and then I quickly found out that it wasn't quite where I wanted it to be a big investor in it. But I think the more iterations we see of VR, the more enticing it becomes. And I think looking at all of this, I think this is great. I'm into it. I don't know if I'll get it like day and date when it releases. It's going to depend on that price tag. And I hope, with this, that Sony would really buckle down and really support it, because I feel like if you're putting all this time and effort into these controllers and a new headset, et cetera, like, now is the time to really like put it out there, say you're confident in it, and put some bomb games on there, like a Dragon Age romance simulator. Who could say? I would say please do that. It would be great. But
she would buy it. You'll have a lot of purchasers just from Brittany. She'll buy 1 million copies of this game.
I will, to support your endeavors. Just let me know. We don't have to disclose it to the public. No one will know. I got you. Anywho, cool. Very, very exciting news. Sort of, kind of. I mean, it's actually not that exciting. It is, but it isn't. You know what I mean? Steimer knows what I mean. But we have more PlayStation news to talk about, because PlayStation bought Evo. which is
I love when you said that. It's like it was like a question. You're like, they bought Evo? I guess. Like, I don't know why, but they did.
That's the thing they did. So this comes from IGN as well. So PlayStation buys Evo Fighting Game Championship Series, announces 2021 event dates, and Nintendo comments. So Sony has announced that it has acquired the Evolution Championship Series, better known as EVO, the world's largest fighting game tournament. Sony Interactive Entertainment and RTS, an esports venture from Endeavor, have acquired, quote, the assets and properties of the EVO series. The purchase means future EVO events are effectively Sony PlayStation events in partnership with RTS. EVO co-founders Tony and Tom Cannon will remain at EVO as key advisors, and Sony took the opportunity to announce the 2021 dates for EVO Online. This year's EVO event will be held digitally on August 6th through 8th, and then on August 13th through 15th. Events will include Tekken 7, Street Fighter V Champion Edition, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, and Guilty Gear Strive. Details on the online qualifiers will be shared in the coming weeks. As for other games, EVO business developer Mark Julio, or is it Julio? I'm not sure. Julio, okay.
I mean, I'm guessing. But.
Yeah. It says, quote, EVO is still open to all platforms, and that PlayStation and RTS are allowing Julio/Julio's team to work with its communities to support fighting games as a whole. Though this doesn't concretely answer whether games from first-party developers like Nintendo's Super Smash Bros. Will appear at future events. But Nintendo has provided a statement, and here it is. I'm trying to get, like, my best Nintendo voice. What would it be? I feel like it would be a very, like, stoic, very, like, no bullshit voice.
Really? I feel like Nintendo's so, like, happy and light.
I feel like their marketing is and their online personality is, but I feel like Nintendo's business side is very, like, no bullshit.
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah. You know, business Nintendo.
I'm going to give him a Muppet voice because why the fuck not? All right. Nintendo has enjoyed engaging with fans at past EVO tournaments and wish the show organizers the best with their new venture. We will continue to assess EVO and other opportunities as we plan for future online and offline Super Smash Bros. Tournament activity. So there you go. Nintendo has spoken.
That doesn't really say anything. Neat.
No. It's like, cool, good luck with all of your shit. Now we just got to decide where we're going to support Smash if we're going to support Smash. It's kind of
it's basically like we don't know if we're going to be at EVO. We have to talk to PlayStation now. We have to talk to this new company and see whether or not this is a thing that will happen or not. We do not know.
I feel so bad for Smash players in the community because they just want like 100% backing from Nintendo when it comes to their online tournaments and whatnot, but Nintendo just doesn't give it to them. They just don't. So hopefully, we'll see more Smash at tournaments. But Steimer, what do you think about this? Does it do anything, this little esports?
I think this is a bit of a head scratcher, but mostly just because I would have never expected PlayStation to do this.
Yeah.
I never knew that they had an interest in the esports world at all.
Same. And I mean, Grant, I don't follow the esports community or industry closely at all. And so that was my first thought is this kind of out of place, or maybe this makes a lot of sense? But I'm with you.
I mean, I'm assuming it has to make some sense.
Money.
Because,
money sense.
Yeah, exactly. Because they had to pitch this to somebody and somebody had to say yes. That they can acquire them. I guess I just never even thought of EVO as an acquirable property, which is maybe just me being a little naive in that sense and not really thinking about it. But yeah, I always just was like, oh, EVO, it's EVO. I would never think like PlayStation could buy it. I mean, you can buy anything, I suppose, but
everything has a price tag. Everything has a price tag,
including your dignity. Just kidding.
PlayStation, if you're listening, What's Good has a price tag. Just
if you need a video game podcast, I know you have the PlayStation blog one, but if you need like a better one, then we're here for you.
I better not say that too loud though. We got called Sony ponies a lot after last week's episode. We can talk. Oh yeah, we can talk about that in a hot minute. I'll tell you all about it.
I don't even remember last week's show, to be completely honest with you. No fucking idea. So if I a Sony pony, maybe I was last week. Who could say?
No, you weren't. It was just, and I'll save that for a hot minute. Anyway, EVO has always been a really good time. I went to one EVO event in Vegas years ago, and it was just so much fun. You're in Vegas, so you just get some drinks. You watch people play Smash for 5 hours at a time, and it's like so engaging, and the energy is so electric. I would love to go back. Hopefully Smash will come back. All right. The next and final, no, this isn't final, there's even more after this, piece of PlayStation news. Jade Raymond's Haven Entertainment Studios to develop a new IP for PlayStation. This also comes from IGN. So Jade Raymond has started Haven Entertainment Studios, an independent company in Montreal that will be working on an unannounced new IP for PlayStation. The name Haven was chosen because Raymond wants this to be a, quote, haven for developers. And while she has nothing more to reveal about this unannounced IP, the team is already hard at work on the project. Announced on the PlayStation blog, Raymond wants the studio to, quote, create worlds where players can escape, have fun, express themselves, and find community. Raymond recently left Google, where she was leading the now shut down Stadia Games and Entertainment first-party studio. Prior to Google, she helped create titles such as Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed 2, and founded and led both EA's Motive Studio and Ubisoft Toronto.
Yeah, this is a little weird. I mean, it's not weird. Weird
Talk
is
to
the
me.
incorrect word.
Okay.
But I just thought it was a little on the nose, a little funny to be called, like, I want this to be a haven for developers when the last thing you did got completely shit-canned. You know, like, and I guess it's a little unclear to me is, like, are a lot of the people you worked with at Stadia coming with you to Haven? And is this, like, you know, you guys all leaving and trying to build something new in a place that honestly didn't really feel like it gave you a shot? Or are you starting completely over with, like, a whole brand? Like, I guess that part's a little unclear to me, so it's a very...
Well, here's her official statement on the PlayStation blog. I won't read all of it, but I'll read some of it. So this comes from Jade Raymond herself. So she starts off with, it's been a strange and difficult past 12 months. The pandemic, social injustice, and job elimination have impacted many of my closest friends, family, and coworkers. All of these factors, paired with an inability to see friends and family face to face, lulled me into a kind of self-reflective cocoon where I had to ask myself some tough questions about what really matters. She goes on to say, I've been making games for a long time, over 25 years now, and several people have asked me recently, quote, after all these experiences, you still want to be in the games industry? The answer is always an unwavering yes. This industry is where I belong. She said, whether it's playing Settlers or Catan with my friends or Valheim with my team, games continue to bring me joy. They're a way to relax, connect, and share experiences, and the act of making games is in many ways even more fulfilling. Getting to bring together experts across so many different creative fields, from music composers, concept artists, to programmers, into a perfectly synced orchestra. Okay, yep, very nice. So she said, as I took stock of my career over the past few years and started to think about what to do next, I came to a very simple conclusion. I need to get back to what I love doing most and do so in a way that gives our team the freedom to explore, inspire, and create. And so today I'm announcing Haven, an independent studio where many of the talented game developers I have worked with for years and love dearly are coming together to do what we are most passionate about. It's time for us to refocus on games in a place where we can practice our crafts without any barriers. We want to create worlds where players can escape, have fun, express themselves. Okay, so she doesn't super clarify, but it does sound like these are people that maybe she's been with for a while, because I believe you can't, like, scrap together a studio that quickly after being canned from Stadia.
Right. Yeah. That's the part where I'm like, how did you staff this so quickly?
So that makes the most sense, that if she left Google, maybe this is a lot of the team that was with her at the time.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. And I will say that she managed to get funding for a brand new studio and do this is pretty cool. That is not an easy thing to do. There aren't honestly like as many independent studios now as there once were. So if this works, like, it'll be really cool.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, let her make a game, man. I feel like
I know, right?
Partnering with PlayStation, like, at least she doesn't have to worry about PlayStation being like, yeah, we're not going to make games anymore in-house. Like, you know, that's not going to happen, or we're just not going to make games anymore, like Google. So, cool. We'll keep an eye on this, and I'm sure it'll be a hot minute before we hear anything, but there it is.
Yeah, for sure. It will be quite some time before Haven produces anything, I would imagine.
Yeah. And finally, in PlayStation news, earlier this week, Sony dedicated a day to 7 indie announcements and reveals in a little event called PlayStation Indies. You can check out the PlayStation blog for the latest and the greatest on that. We're not going to recap everything here. But what was also announced as well is Sony is adding 10 additional games to its Play at Home program starting March 25th, and Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition will be coming on April 19th. Now, if you're pulling a Brit and you haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn because there's too many trees, Don't be like me. Play the game. It's fantastic. You won't regret it. Trust me. Yes. Okay.
100 plus one.
That was that was a lot of PlayStation news, but now we're moving on to Xbox. Oh my God, Xbox Game Pass news. So we